Good evening. Thank you all for coming. We're waiting for one more council person, I believe. We have to have at least 4. And what's the desire of the people that are here? You want to go ahead, Mr. Tony, and interview them, or?
Mr. Mayor, I believe that Councilmember Maloney said that he would be able to join if we let him know. I'd be happy to give him a call and see if he's able to hop on Zoom in the next 60 seconds or so, if you'd like.
Okay, sure. So what we're going to do is pull names. Mr. Tony's going to be the first one to interview because he's on Zoom. And then we'll pull names from a cup, I guess, right here, and interview accordingly. At that time, you will take them to the back room. That's what we usually do, right? So the other procedure is that while if we're going to interview Mr. Tony now, we're going to wait to see if we can get another council person, if you don't mind. And at that case, if we do, then we'll interview, and you'll all go to the ante room back here with Kathy. And, okay? Or Cindy? What did I call you? Okay. All right. I thought Tim said he was going to make it.
John was too. I'm going to take one out because there's one person up there.
And tonight, we're interviewing for Board of Adjustment and the Planning Commission. And I think most of you have expressed a desire that you would consider either one. It looks like a lot of head nodding there. There's that the former mayor is not. She's thinking like, oh my gosh, what did I give up? Good grief. I'm wondering too, by the way. But anyway, so well, this is really awful. What? Okay. So why don't you call the roll at this time?
Councilmember Dennehy, absent. Maloney, absent. Schmischer,
Here.
Stein, absent. Tracy,
Here.
Worthington,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick, absent. Mayor Troutman.
Here. We are waiting to get a link by Zoom so Mr. Hamrick can listen in and comment or ask questions. And hopefully it'll come through soon. Can we just go ahead and start and not?
You can start, you just can't take any action until you have a quorum.
Okay,
Seems like it would be better if John's joining for him to be able to hear and
hear it. Okay.
all of it.
How will we know that John is? Okay. I was up there. I would go ahead and let him have my place up there. I don't. No, I'm just kidding. I guess you don't have a choice on that, right? So, are you at home, Mr. Tony?
No, I'm traveling. I'm in a hotel room in Memphis, Tennessee right now.
Well, yes,
I,
you can make it.
I left Waco, Texas. My son runs the World Hunger Training Relief Farm in Waco, and I left there this morning. I was helping out there for some things, volunteering for some things there, and helping a buddy drive to see his mom in Tennessee. So,
Wow,
volunteering all over the place.
I know the feeling.
And I have made a note for the record that Councilmember Stein has joined us at 5:43.
Okay, should we go by order of on this sheet? Which the you just draw it? Okay. Brett, I'm sorry. Duh. You see, after a couple minutes, I completely forget everything and have to be reprompt for everything. So, Mr. Worthington, why don't you go ahead and start with your questions, please?
Good evening. How are you, Mr. Tony?
I'm great this evening.
Good.
Not as good as you guys being in the Indian City.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you taking the time out. So anyway, and thank you for being interested in this position. My main question is just a really simple one. Are you familiar with how the local government works, and have you had a chance to read the city charter?
No, I haven't. You know, I have a lot to learn there. I have a humble serving spirit, but, you know, in that position, I do have a lot to learn from the Canyon City Council. I've worked on other councils and different boards throughout my years, but I just don't have that experience with Canyon City.
Okay, no problem.
Emily?
Great, thanks. And thanks for participating in this and thanks for your interest in serving the city.
Thank you.
My question is, Mr. Tony, please describe your familiarity with the city's Unified Development Code.
That I do not know.
Do you want to I'll just kind of do a quick follow-up. Do you want to just say a little bit more about your own experience with things like land use planning or anything related to that?
Well, you know, I've been involved. I was president of some energy companies. We constructed, built, worked with DOT, many other agencies in different states, including Colorado. We had facilities in Platteville, Grand Junction, Denver, other facilities in Colorado, and worked with everything from the EPA to DOT to build those facilities and operate those facilities. Nothing in the city management codes, as I was asked there, so I'd have to get familiar with Canyon City.
Thanks.
Do I get to ask questions? Sure. I don't get a vote, but no, I do. So,
You just have to ask the same question of everybody. It's one of the rules.
okay. Have you ever had the opportunity to appear in front of either the Canyon City Planning or Zoning Planning Commission or the Board of Adjustment?
I've recently appeared in front of the Planning Commission on the Walmart request, yes. And in front of the City Council, I proposed a noise ordinance for Canyon City.
During your time and your employment, did you have any kind of requirement or was it a necessity to appear any town other than Canyon City in front of any planning or Board of Adjustment or anything like that?
Many times. From Pennsylvania, you know, they have townships, the cities, the states, even federal. I've done all of that. I've been to Washington, D.C., in front of the EPA directors there, air quality directors, Grand Junction. Most cities, when you're building a facility, they want a leadership position to be there to ask those questions
Okay.
and answer.
Okay, thank you. Andrea?
Okay, I want to thank you also for getting involved in the city and coming to our meetings. We need more people to do that. And I just wondered, it seems like you were involved in a lot of projects through the companies that you were with. Which one did you have the most interest in? What project were you most involved in? Specifically?
In my experience, past experience, or Canyon City?
Your past experience.
You know, I've worked for 50 years, and, you know, I think the position of leadership where you're working on not only strategies, you know, the board basically sets the strategies. I'd call the city council the board. And then you have the tactician side, which I think would be the planning commission, to do the tactics of that. You know, fulfill the missions, goals, all of that. But, I've done that throughout my career, leading companies, the Western Company, North America, BJ Services, Baker Hughes, most recently a Canadian company. So I think all of those, I've enjoyed all of those. I've enjoyed the people. I've had as many as 7,000 people and worked with smaller districts of 30 people. I think I'm a pretty good team player, good listener.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mr. Tony. My question is, what is one specific change you would recommend to the city's current planning processes or policies to improve how the city interacts with businesses and/or residents?
I realize it's a balance of, maintaining the spirit, what I fell in love with Canyon City for, the history, the spirit of Canyon City and the way it operates, and inevitable growth. We're growing. And I think it's really important to manage those two and keep the spirit of Canyon City. So I think that's a goal that can be strived for. And I'd have, as you can see, I need to learn a lot about the Canyon City operations and ordinances.
Thanks so much. Could I ask when you moved here?
I bought a house here about 10 years ago. And I had properties in Granbury, Texas and Montgomery, Texas as well. And when before I retired, we decided to make Canyon City our permanent home. So I sold those other properties and moved here for our final destination, so to speak.
That's wonderful. Welcome to the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Anyone else? Before we move on, would you want to add anything to tell us, or are you concluded with that?
Well, I hope you'll consider me for that position because I'd like to add back to the community. I have the time and the energy to do that, and I am a fast learner, so I'd apply myself to learning and being more knowledgeable from the city practices. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Tony.
Thank you.
Enjoy your stay there. Memphis, did you say?
I'm in Memphis now. I took this trip. He's paying me off in food stops. So.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Okay, drawing out of the cup, the blue cup?
Yes, sir.
I thought we always used a red cup. Was it? No, okay. I like blue, as a matter of fact. I'm Air Force, by the way, so. Okay. All joking aside, so to speak. Victoria Duggar. My wife accuses me of having too much blue, but there isn't. Well, it was either my camouflage or my blue in the Air Force, so. So we'll start from the other side. Would you like to have Victoria at the podium or back here? Would you be comfortable sitting or standing?
Yeah, those seats are super comfortable.
Okay, well.
Ones from the back, I was like,
Good.
yes, those are nice.
Watch the one that's wired. No, it's the one with the trap door. No, wouldn't it? No. So. We're okay?
Got it.
We're good? Okay. Thank you, Victoria, for coming.
No problem.
So we will ask you questions, and since you put in that you would either do Planning Commission or Board of Adjustment, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we'll ask the same questions that we asked everybody else, and then you can retire to the room. So we're going to start with Amy Schmischer.
Hi, it's nice to see you, Ms. Duggar. My question is, what is one specific change you would recommend to the city's current planning processes or policies to improve how the city interacts with residents and/or businesses?
Well, that's a great question. I would think maybe, to be completely honest, I don't quite know what we do now. I'm really just trying to get more involved in my community, and I saw that we were looking for volunteers, so to be honest, again, I don't know what we do now. But I would say just to get anything more involved in the community and more business people involved in everything is just maybe bringing more of a social media aspect to things. Yes, we do the Facebook videos, live, and that's fantastic, but they do tend to go on. So if we could do like shorter bits and pieces that we put out periodically, that might bring more awareness to what's going on those particular boards or in those particular meetings, that might keep people more tuned in, possibly. I love the long meetings, though. I'm just saying some people think they're long. Just saying.
We do.
Thank
No.
you.
Andrea?
Okay, well, thank you for your interest in coming, and I just wanted to check and see, since you were bringing up social media, are you signed up on our website to get all of our notices?
On I was like, I'm older, so I do Facebook, and I do follow a lot of the local Canyon City things. Specifically, I don't know. What do you mean?
Well, just for your information, you can go to our website and sign up for we send out notification of every meeting, every event that the city is involved in.
Oh.
And it's really helpful. I did that myself when I was getting ready to run for council.
Sure.
And it really helps you get, even if you're not going to go to all those meetings, lets you know what we're doing and what's going on.
Sure.
So I would encourage you to do that, because it's a good thing. And it gives you a lot more exposure to what we're doing than just on Facebook. And it's automatic, comes to your inbox. I just wanted to ask you, in your experience, whether it's in work or as a volunteer, was there some project that you were involved in that you were really passionate about? And if, could you give us a few insights as to how you approached that and how you got satisfaction out of it? Thanks.
Sure. So I can give you a couple of examples. So in my previous work, I did a lot of event planning, and one of my favorite events that I planned was a Easter egg hunt for dogs to coincide with the opening of our off-leash dog park in Harmony, Florida. So I got to, basically do everything that went along with that, and I'm like most of us here, our fur babies are almost as good as our two-legged children. So it was a really fun experience to be able to take it from start to finish and then see how happy the dogs were. We had homemade, I had ordered on the internet like these dog treats that were like Easter egg shaped, but they were for the dogs, but they looked, this was a while back. This was 14 years ago, before homemade dog treats were like a thing. Now everybody has them. But so that would be one of my work-based ones. But as far as like volunteering, I'm the co-president of the CES PTO currently, and I just love being involved with the kids. Teachers don't get paid enough, so anything that we can do as a PTO, it just is just so rewarding and so validating to being part of the process, and that's kind of what has made me want to do something bigger. Volunteer-wise, and I thought maybe I could fill in provide something to the community this way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Victoria, have you ever appeared in front of a planning commission or a board of adjustment or maybe even city council and done any type of question and answers?
No, sir, not at all. My heart is racing. So no, not at all. But I'm definitely comfortable speaking in front of people, but no, nothing like this.
Yeah, well, don't be. We're just like you, same type of people.
One leg at a time, right?
Well, yep. In your job or jobs, were you ever asked to do any type of public appearance for anything, any governmental agency or anything like that?
No, nothing government-related. In my previous roles, I have been the face of whatever event was happening, whether it was an art opening or the dog park. I mean, there's four-legged people, but there's me too there. So no, nothing government-related at all, no.
Okay, thank you. Emily?
Thanks, and thanks for your interest in working with the city. Appreciate you taking time this evening. My question is, please describe your familiarity with the city's Unified Development Code or any experience you might have related to land use planning.
Yeah, that'd be nothing. No,
Okay.
none. Straight up nothing. But I'm a quick learner, and Google is my friend. I am very adept at looking up things, studying on what needs to be studied, researching what needs to be researched. I may not be the best fit if there sounds like there's more people qualified, and I'm totally okay with that. I'm eager to participate in any way that I can.
Got it, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Worthington?
How familiar are you with the operating of, how operating, or the government works here with Canyon City? And have you had an opportunity to read the city charter?
That would be a no to all of the above. But again, a quick study. I'm open to doing whatever I need to do for the role, but no, I absolutely haven't, no.
No problem. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Victoria. Is there anything you'd like to tell us about you or just anything before we close?
No, I don't think, I mean, I'm super I think I've pretty made it very clear that I'm just eager to participate. I'm just eager to be of service if I can. I want to show that to my kids, I have two children, a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old here in Canyon City, and I want to show them that being of service without getting paid is also a thing. Like, it doesn't require, you can be part of your community and part of your city without actually having to have a job that requires it. You can do it just because. So, no,
Okay.
I think I'm just excited to be here.
Okay, thank you, Victoria.
Thank you.
You can go back there in another room. The next would be John Kratz. And we will start with Kathy this time, just to be fair. I'm outnumbered here, so. Okay, well, now you're in trouble. Hi, John? Any chair? Any chair at all. The one with the trapdoor under will probably be fine. Just kidding. Just quitting. Oh, yeah, well, it's painless too. Okay.
Push the little button on your microphone.
Make sure your microphone, there should be a little green button that comes up.
Hello?
There.
There you go. Okay. So, John, we're going to go ahead and start with Kathy. We'll ask you questions. They're the same questions that we've asked everybody else.
Okay.
And then at that time, we'll wrap up and go on to the next one, talk to the
Great.
next one. So, Kathy, would you like to start?
Sure. Thanks for coming. We appreciate your interest in this position and stuff. Mine's a basic question that I was asked. Basically, are you familiar with the operations of the city as to how it works, and have you had a chance to read the city charter?
The answer is I'm somewhat familiar with how the city works. It's not unlike cities I've been in front of. No, I have not read the city charter.
It's okay.
Emily?
Thanks, and thanks for your interest in
Sure.
serving on the Planning Commission. My question is, just please describe your familiarity with the city's Unified Development Code or just experience in general regarding land use planning.
My experience in general, second part first, with land use planning, is all my life as a land surveyor. I've been in front of boards and had to adhere to development codes and go through the lengthy books they are to hash out all the details so that when I submitted plans or submitted surveys, they conformed. The city's code, which I've been in front of several times already in my 6 years here in Canyon. I worked kind of hand in hand with Alex Ewers down at Three Rocks Engineering a lot, and we would actually meet and consult on the code. I've met with Patrick on those issues, especially when the Loves development was coming up. I was working behind the scenes on that a lot. So, yeah, I've been through that code.
Thank you.
I believe you've answered my question, but I'll ask it anyway. In your job, you have then appeared in front of planning commission or board of adjustment or anything like that?
Yes, not here in Canyon City, but definitely in the Denver metro area, which is where the bulk of my career took place. So, you know, Aurora, Arapahoe County, City of Littleton, all working to get subdivisions approved or commercial developments and anything else I needed to appear for, including boards of adjustment. When something went awry, usually I was representing a client that needed to get an adjustment and would do my best to make that happen.
Okay. My next question, of course, you sort of answered, but because of your job, do you feel there would be too many conflicts for you to be on either the planning commission? And that's not a fair question. Tell me it's not a fair question, but you're sort of in a type of job that would require you to do things.
It's a fair question. The only surveying I'm doing now is real estate improvement location certificates. I know you know what they are, Preston, and the rest of you may or may not, which would not come into conflict with anything. I'm not currently doing any other surveying. I do have the job of Fremont County Surveyor, which involves when any other surveyor brings in work to be recorded, it's my job to check it over in terms of does it meet the minimum state requirements. It's not my job to judge it to be right or wrong, just simply does it meet the minimum requirements. So no, I don't see a conflict in the question you asked.
Okay, thank you. Andrea?
Yes. Thank you so much for spending your time with us and getting involved with city politics. We need more people who are interested.
Huh.
And my question is, in your career, not just in surveying, but it can be in surveying, what was a project, a specific project that you were involved in that you were really passionate about? Thanks.
Yeah. I worked with another engineering firm. This is a lot of years ago, but it was with the Corps of Engineers and the City of Littleton, helping design. I mean, I don't want to overemphasize my role. I was largely a surveyor, but I was very passionate about helping design their whole regional pathway system and pedestrian crossings at the major intersections up there, because in part I was self-interested. I only lived a few miles away and wanted to see that all happen, and also in part because the Platte River up there was in a bad state, and now if you were to go walk one of those pathways, you'd say, hey, this is pretty nice. It's kind of something to look at. Not unlike what's going on down here, but that's one project that I took pride in.
Thanks so much.
Amy?
Thank you. Thank you. What is one specific change you would recommend to the city's current planning processes or policies to improve how the city interacts with residents and/or businesses?
I'm going to defer on that question because I don't have enough experience in watching the city interact, except now let me back up a second. My interactions with the city have always been on behalf of a client, and the public. I have not been to those meetings, so I can't answer that question.
Maybe if I state the question slightly differently.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding.
So, I mean, you have interacted with the city on behalf of clients.
Mhm.
So what I'm asking is, what's one specific thing you would recommend that we change to improve the way that we interact with clients?
I'm happy with the interactions.
Okay.
That's
So there's nothing you would
That's
change?
the answer. I think everyone's approachable. I don't feel, I mean, I've been in front of boards that are, it's gone to their heads. I don't feel that way here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anything you would like to add or think we should know to tell us before we finish?
Sure. My experience here is just from, a relative novice in the city. However, I see the growth in Colorado, the explosion of growth, and Canyon City is really being tugged in several directions at once. And I think coming years will be critical. I mean, tourism is obviously growing dramatically, and I think will continue to. So I think careful planning is what's in order.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Could I ask a follow-up question to that?
Yes.
Thank you. What does careful planning look like to you? What's your vision of what Canyon City
Yeah.
would look like in 2040, and how does the Planning Commission or Board of Adjustment help us get there? Thanks.
2040, great. So you have cities upriver that are experiencing already real pain with not having any affordable housing. That's a huge one for me. That was a huge reason we moved here. So I would like to see that addressed as much as possible. And my wife experienced in the school system, it is difficult for a teacher to rent, much less buy these days. And I know there are actions being taken behind the scenes, and I know in front of the scenes as well. But I think that's one of the key things that 2040 would need to look like, to keep drawing quality people to the town,
Okay.
myself
thank you.
not included.
Thank you, John.
Sure.
That's it.
Am I excused? Okay.
You are excused.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Makes me feel like my 6th grade teacher. You're not excused. Which generally meant I was going to the principal's office. But, Aaron Yelko? Hi, Aaron. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So we're going to go ahead and ask questions, the same questions that we have asked the other applicants that have come in, so everybody gets on the same level.
Sure.
And this time we're going to start with Amy.
Thank you, Mayor. Hey, Aaron, hey, Mr. Maleko, how are you doing this evening?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
What is one specific change you would recommend to the city's current planning processes or policies to improve how the city interacts with residents and/or businesses?
I would say we need to probably find more ways to communicate with the public, because it seems like no matter what we do or how much we try, it seems to be a big surprise to the community a lot of times. And I don't know where else to put it out there. If you're already putting it out on the shopper and Facebook, and I don't know if we have to have a billboard in town or what, but a lot of the community feels like they're surprised when things come up. So I guess find a way to improve the communication.
Thank you.
Andrea?
Thank you so much for being involved, and I know we see you a lot. And I appreciate citizens.
I see you more than you see me, because I watch all the videos.
There you go. Yeah, well, we need citizens that get involved. And I had one question for you on the communications. Have you ever signed up on our website for notifications of events? Because everything this town does is in there. And whenever we have a meeting about planning or events from the library to the museum to the city itself, it's on there. And a lot of people don't know that it's there. And I think that that's a big part of moving to communicating electronically. And some people don't realize that not everything is out on Facebook that we have to offer. But if you sign up for email notifications, everything that's happening you'll get with links to agendas and links to more information about planning or projects in town. So I just wanted to encourage you to, if you haven't done it already.
I do. I am enrolled with the signed up. I get a notification for every agenda for every meeting that comes up for the
Right.
city, and I read all the agendas, and and the really interesting ones I come to. So.
Great. Yeah, I just want to do, I try to encourage everybody. I try to put the plug in for that whenever I can, because I know there's some people that don't realize it's there. And it's a really good tool if you want to get involved. My question is there a project that you have been involved in, either as a volunteer or professionally, that you were really passionate about over the years? And could you just, kind of talk about that, describe that? Thanks.
The most recent volunteer, a few years ago when the empty the second seat came up, I tried for the second seat, the District 2 seat for City Council, and although I didn't get that, I was encouraged to volunteer in the community. And I thought, well, that's a good idea, because my wife and I volunteered to go build houses in Baja, California, and that's all fine and good, but that's a long drive, So what can I do closer? So since then, how was that, a couple years ago now? Since then, I am on the board of directors of the Friends of the Museum. I volunteer every week at the Royal Gorge History Center. And I'm also the treasurer for the Pantry of Fremont. And passionate about both of those. I love working at the museum and working with old stuff. And I love working at the pantry, because that gives me an opportunity to kind of get my management fixed, because I have volunteers that help me put all this stuff away, and I get to do that and work with people and provide food for the community. So passionate about both of those things.
Thank you.
Thank you. Emily?
Thanks, and thanks for your interest in this. Appreciate that. Please describe your familiarity with the city's Unified Development Code or experience with land use planning in general.
I've I've read the code and had to, reference the code for my own personal things, my wife and I. And also, I'm a real estate broker, so it's important to really know that code because it comes up. I know that it was, the Unified Development Code was, fairly recent within the last few years, the newer one, and with it came a lot of changes, and some of them were unexpected, and I know that it's a kind of a living document. We need to readdress some of those things, but I'm very familiar with it. I've read it, and I have a link to it on my computer.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Oh, Kathy?
Hi, Aaron. Nice to meet you in person. So
Hi.
we've talked. Anyway, Aaron, basically mine's just a general question about your knowledge of local politics and how the city works. And basically, have you had a chance to read the city charter?
Yes, and specifically the ones that have to do with what the Board of Adjustment does, because I think that was something good to read. I mean, it's not a long read, that section of it, but if you're going to come interview for the Board of Adjustment, it's good to know that part of the charter. But it did also, look over the Planning Commission. That's pretty much describes, like I said, I've seen just about every meeting on YouTube, so it describes what both of those do.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, have you ever appeared in front of the Planning Commission for any reason?
I have not appeared in front of the Planning Commission that I can remember, no.
How about Board of Adjustment?
Nope, not Board of Adjustments either.
With your job, have you ever, with your job, with whatever you did in any place that you lived, did you have an opportunity to appear in front of the Planning Commission or work with the Planning Commission?
No, I haven't had any of those big complicated real estate deals that required that. You know what I mean? I haven't, Arby's has not approached me to build anywhere here in the city, and so I haven't had to do that. All my stuff's pretty cut and dry. I've had a couple, things that I've had to just deal directly with Patrick Mulready through email, small things, but nothing that required me to get up in front of the board, and I've never done anything that I should have done that asking for adjustments later, So, no, I haven't had to.
Okay. Before we end, would you like to add anything or tell us something about you or your experience or reasons for wanting to do this?
I wanted to be more involved. I mean, I'm already kind of in the passenger seat, an observer role most of the time. I did get a little more involved with the city with the shopping cart ordinance. And I have enjoyed working with everybody in the city that I've ever worked with. And although I hadn't intended on interviewing for the Planning Commission, Cindy hit me with that as we came in. I'm certainly open to that. Either way, I get to work with Patrick Mulready, and I think he's great. I've always enjoyed working with Kathy Ulch and Patrick Martin and everybody here. So,
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Aaron.
all right, thanks.
And the winner is, whoops. I'm having trouble with that cup tonight. All right. Well, Elizabeth Oberle. How are you? Had a busy day. Oh, I didn't notice. I have a lot of friends that way. My age. Yeah, yeah.
We're not judging you. I'll do my best.
Hi, Elizabeth. Take a comfortable chair there, and,
We like these way better than the peanut gallery ones. These are nice.
yeah, wasn't in the budget. So, okay, Elizabeth, we're going to have us ask questions. These are the same questions, basically, that we've asked everybody else, and answer them to the best of your knowledge, ability, and be comfortable with that. And so we'll start with Kathy.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for your interest in these positions. It's good to see people that are so interested in being part of the community and trying to improve the community. My basic question is, how familiar are you with the operations of the city, and have you had a chance to read the city charter?
I have read portions of the city charter, and I feel fairly well versed in the city structure and operations in itself. I haven't necessarily met each department head, for example, but I have met many people, so.
Thank you.
Emily.
Great, thanks, and thanks for being here, and thanks for your interest in serving the city. Please describe your familiarity with the city's Unified Development Code or experience you might have in general with land use planning.
Most of that is extremely limited, and I will admit that. Most of what I know has come through the lens of my work through FEDC. So looking at land use development with an eye towards workforce development or affordable housing. The code itself, again, I know very little.
Great, thanks.
Andrea.
Thanks so much for coming, Elizabeth. We really appreciate involvement of citizens in coming to council meetings and staying involved. I was just wondering, is there, either in your experience professionally or as a volunteer, can you talk about maybe one project that you've been a part of that you were really passionate about?
I've had quite a few projects, and most of them have been involved around families. Being an educator for 32 years now, most of my projects were to answer a need that a significant number of families may have had. How could we do that? One of those projects in particular, when I still lived in Kansas City, Missouri, the school that I worked for was a part of the Kansas City, Missouri Public School District. State funding was cut for our summer programming 1 month before it was to start, across the board and without any prior warning. So we had 30 days to scramble to create summer programming for over 700 children. And we were able to accomplish that. Not only were the families then able to still have some place to have their children continue their education, we were also able to provide many, however not all, of the school district employees who had come to count on that opportunity through the summer for themselves and for their children. That program was started 15 years ago, and it is still in place. It was expanded after that first summer to go year-round, so that every time there was a snow day or a winter break, a spring break, whatever it was, the Monday holiday, there would continue to be daycare provided for those families as well. And then we expanded down into school preparedness through our early childhood. So we had children starting at 2.5 years old who would come in. We were doing that at a price point that every family only paid $50 a week.
Thank you.
Amy.
Thank you, and it's nice to see you this evening. What is one specific change you would recommend to the city's current planning processes or policies to improve how the city interacts with with residents and/or businesses?
I found, as I was running for city council, that there's been a lack of information of the most current and updated policies and procedures around code enforcement, around planning. What did you need to put a permit in for or not? How were the permits determined? There seemed to be a lot of feedback from community members in particular on certain projects as far as, was it gossip or was it truth, as far as what role did the Planning Commission play? What role did the Board of Adjustments play? What role did the Building Department play on any of the projects of note in area? There were people who were asking me about Scholastica, about the Abbey, what did I know about what had happened in the creation of Pathfinder Park. I think there needs to be a clear understanding of at least the overview of what's the process that any citizen would go through, whether it's they want to be able to put a carport over their driveway, or how is money being invested and what is the public-private partnership on some of these large projects that garner more attention.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. In your, have you ever appeared in front of the Planning Commission or the Board of Adjustment in Kansas City?
Have I what?
Have you ever appeared in front of the Planning Commission?
No, I've
or-
observed, but I haven't spoken before them.
I'm sorry, you what?
I've observed,
Observed,
but I
I'm sorry.
haven't spoken
Okay.
before them. Right.
And in your employment, because you were an educator,
Mm-hmm.
had you ever had the opportunity with your job to require you to go in front of either Planning Commission, Council, Board of Adjustment, anything like that?
In Kansas City, Missouri, yes. When I was still there, the first 3 years, we were in one particular building, and the school district had received a waiver to be able to occupy the building in the first place, and the waiver was about to be up. The district wanted to push for a second waiver and extend our stay in that building. However, we went as an academic entity to request that we be moved to another building, and we countered our own employer in front of them in order to gain access to that building. But we had also been able to put together a commission through city council help to be able to show that we were going to be working with the Missouri State Department of Conservation when we took over that property, as well as having it registered on the National Historic Register, the school building itself. So we did do some exceptional variances and waivers using various entities. But again, that was in Kansas City, Missouri, not here.
Okay,
I'm hoping to learn to apply it here.
okay, thank you. Anything you would like to add or tell us before we finish?
I do understand that I may be coming to the table with the least amount of understanding or experience. However, I do know that part of being an educator is being curious. I have learned just enough in my roles for FEDC as a part of Ag Start, as starting my own small business, hearing from other community members while I ran for city council, that should I be put into a position on either of these boards, getting the information that comes along with it, that's all I need to be able to be caught up to speed and find out in what ways I'll be able to provide my experience and my understanding to the group as a whole.
Okay, well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's, I don't have, I have,
There's one lovely lady back there.
there's one more person, really? Oh, there's supposed to be two. All right, I'm gonna draw this one out then. Let's prepare the really heavy, heavy questions for This one here, it's an Ashley Smith, is that? Boy, yeah, we've practiced on these other three people, Miss Smith, so that you're in trouble, but anyway. So
Now I get to be in the hot seat and get grilled by the council.
yeah, and that's a real treat. But I gotta ask, I don't have a Parker Cromer. He didn't? Okay. Excuse me. So, Ms. Smith, what we're going to do is ask you some really in-depth and intense questions. No, I'm just kidding.
I know.
But ask you questions. Each one of our council people will get an opportunity to ask you the same question, basically that we've asked all the other participants that have come here. And I'd like to start this time with Amy.
Thank you, Mayor Troutman. Hello, Ms. Smith.
Hi, it's good to see all of you, by the way.
It's nice to see you too. What is one specific change you would recommend to the city's current planning processes or policies to improve how the city interacts with residents and/or businesses?
One thing that I'd want to change for how the Planning Commission in particular, or just,
Planning or Board of Adjustment?
or Board of Adjustment? Well, I know the City Council really integrates well with creating a lot of committees and getting public input. And it seems like it would be really beneficial to start getting a lot more proactive public input on a broader scale at the Planning Commission phase. So as we're vetting through the processes and the things that we're doing, that we're really making sure that we are taking the public's input into consideration from the very get-go before we get too far into the process would be one of the things that I think would be great to have.
Thank you.
Andrea?
Okay. Thank you for giving us your time tonight.
You guys are the ones, I was looking at the agendas, you guys have had a lot of meetings already in the month of January.
Oh,
And it's
shucks,
like,
it ain't nothing.
Holy mollies. And here you are again, so no, thank you for your time. You guys are still stepping up to the plate.
I have one question, and it is, in both your professional or your volunteer careers, what was a project that you really were passionate about and you're proudest of?
Well, it's hard to choose just one thing. I think on my time on city council, when I led the committee for two-way streets to get the funding passed for that, that was really big. It was the first time ever in Canyon City's history that there was a tax that the community was able to finally get behind and vote yes for, to invest in our infrastructure. And I guess that was just a trajectory to start on improving Canyon City from then on. I think creating the economic development team is something I'm really proud of too in general, just all of the things that and just to see it over those period of years of how they've been able to start building that momentum for really helping Canyon City grow economically and becoming more business friendly and bringing in these developments and new businesses into Canyon City was really, really exciting too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Emily?
Thanks. And thank you for your interest in serving the city. Has anyone ever told you you look a lot like a recent former mayor?
Oh, do I look a little bit more relaxed?
There you go. So I would like to ask you to please describe your familiarity with the city's Unified Development Code or experience in general with land use planning.
So I had the honor and the privilege to be on the city council when we adopted the Unified Code, as well as the comprehensive master plan. Also for when we helped approve subdivisions like for the Abbey, and looking forward to 4 Mile and meeting with the new owners there and their plans for what they're wanting to do, and that's going to be something that's coming down the pipeline. Pretty much most of the plans that we currently have, I've had the privilege of being a part of the committees and the ability to adopt those. And so I feel like I'm pretty intimately familiar with all of them. Also, looking to the future, beyond that too, where you just had your vision committee with the East Highway 50 corridor access control plan. And I was there during that time. And so there's some history there that I hope that I could also bring to the Planning Commission to help the City Council when that product, starts to get vetted. I remember very clearly going to those public open houses, and there's always those few, they're always mad about anything and everything. But at some of those open houses, we had some really stalwart community leaders that were pretty level-headed, and they were red in the face, and you could literally see steam coming out of their ears. They were livid with some of the things that were coming out of that product. And so I would hope that maybe as they're starting to come through that there's some memory there too, and also some conversations with CDOT about how we needed some more time before we visited that again. But also that recognition that with the Abbey development coming, and probably with 4 Mile too, that there's going to be some changes that are going to be happening for Cañon City no matter what, and that I recognize that as a council that you need to have that voice to make sure what's best for Cañon happens. And my role on the commission is to be aware that hopefully I know each of you fairly well, and your passions, the things that you really care about, and that you are important to you, and that I can use that awareness on the Planning Commission to honor your time, that when you're serving, that we can create a product that I hopefully will know that we've had an eye on this and this and this, knowing that that's going to be an important priority for you when this gets presented to you, and that my job is to help your job to be easier.
Thanks.
Kathy.
I'm embarrassed to even ask this question, knowing your history, but mine is, are you familiar with the workings of city government? And have you read the city charter?
I am very familiar, which is one of the reasons why I applied. I mean, there's been a lot of times there have not been very many applicants for these positions, and so that was one of my motivations, was to make sure that there were applicants. And I do want to say that I've had the pleasure of visiting with these people here, and they're all wonderful, and a lot of them are newer. And that I'm okay if you decide you want to have some newer blood and start raising up some future leaders, that's okay. I'll be okay. But I do have a lot of longevity and intimate detail in that I hope that I can bring that depth to the Planning Commission. And yes, I am very familiar with the charter as well. And it was a little bit of a fix when I was going through the agendas and reading through it, preparing for meeting today. I'm like, oh yeah, this is some good stuff. Like, it kind of it fed me to participate in that a little bit again.
I think my questions are somewhat moot, but on the other hand, I know you sat here for 8 years. But I would wonder, did you ever stand at the podium?
Mm-hmm.
And would you explain why you were doing it just the opposite, not being on council, as a private individual, talking to the Planning Commission or council or Board of Adjustment, and how you felt about that?
I have been here for a couple of times on that podium, either representing another organization or even before I was on city council, about some issues that I was really passionate about. And it was, even if I was a council member at that time and I was talking to the council member, but something about being over there and getting grilled and questioned, it's really intimidating.
Well, you only had 3 minutes, so no,
Yeah.
go ahead, I'm just kidding.
No,
Sorry.
but you guys have always been really respectful, and there's an excitement and a thrill of being part of local governance, and that a voice from the podium can be a powerful thing, and changes can be made.
And understanding your background, would you feel like there would be any conflicts or problems because of your background being on either planning commission or on Board of Adjustment?
You mean my background is being on?
Well, you were mayor.
On the mayor?
And you were city council, and your job is a big one, taking care of your family. But do you think there would be conflicts since you were mayor and you decided on many things? It's just your opinion.
No, I don't see any conflicts. I wouldn't have applied if I thought there were. I think that I'm not going to interface with you very often as a council. It's not like I'm going to be coming up and saying, hey, I used to be mayor, you guys need to do it like this, back in my day, But more, I hope that I can have that appreciation of what you have to face and some empathy and some experience of I know that you're not going to want to have a chamber full of really angry people filled in here, taking hours of your time of testimony. We've got to help you create a product that is going to be amenable to the community and amenable to you, and that is something that's based on collaboration and public input, and that hopefully we can bring this to something that can be unilaterally supported as best as it can be, and that you can feel comfortable voting yes for, or have a compelling argument for why no, this is not going to be appropriate for Canyon City.
Well, and also, not to debate the issue, but you made decisions on council and you made decisions as mayor. What if you were on planning commission and there were conflicts there, or something that you dearly pushed and there were conflicts? You don't think that would be a problem? Making decisions?
Can you give me an example?
Well, let's say the street plan or something like that, excuse me, that you were in favor of. Now they're coming to the planning commission for changes in that, or the subdivision rules, or something in that nature. You advocated for it. You were part of the group that approved it. And now you're on the other side of that, and they're saying, no, we don't want to do it that way. We want changes to that. Could you be open to that?
Yeah, and I would say that hopefully I've demonstrated a track record of, for example, feather flags on Main Street. I mean, that's just one example. There's been many, we've made some decisions, and maybe there are some implications that we need to take a pause and consider, and we need to adapt to make a better, or an ordinance or regulations that just definitely recognize that not everything gets done perfect as much as we want to, and that if corrections need to be made, then let's make those corrections and do what's right.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to tell us before we're finished?
No, just a gratitude for you guys and the time that you serve, and just recognize that you all are the ones that are still holding the torch. You have a lot on your shoulders. I would love an opportunity to have a once a month commitment to still use this experience I've gained and keep it fresh, and have an opportunity for that, and recognize that my role would be a supporter to you.
Okay.
And again, if that's not what you want from me, if you have other choices, that's okay too. I've got lots that I can do with my time in my life.
So if we went to weekly meetings, you're not interested, or what? No, I'm just kidding. No. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you all.
Okay. The next thing on the agenda, we are going to vote.
And we have all of the people that have interviewed are going for either one, so you'll be able to do it. So the first one we'll vote for is the Planning Commission. If you'll put down your vote for Planning Commission.
I don't.
We'll see Planning Commission, and then we'll re-vote for Board of Adjustment. That's two sheets. We'll do Planning Commission first.
I don't get to vote? Well, there's four. Yeah. All right. The power, the raw power.
Emily Tracy voted Ashley Smith. Kathy Worthington, Ashley Smith. Amy Schmisher, Aaron Maleko. And Andrea Stein, Ashley Smith.
Okay, thank you.
At this point, we'll vote Planning Commission, and you get 3 votes. Because, Board of Adjustment, I apologize. Board of Adjustment, you get 3 votes because we will be sitting 3 positions. Okay, for Board of Adjustment, Amy Schmisher voted Aaron Maleko, John Kratz, Victoria Duggar. Kathy Worthington, Aaron Maleko, John Kratz, Fred Toney. Emily Tracy, Aaron Maleko, John Kratz, Fred Toney. And Andrea Stein, Aaron Maleko, John Kratz, Elizabeth Oberly. We need to do a runoff. So I'm going to give these back to you, and on the back side, please put between Aaron Maleko and John Kratz. No, it's just a vote, not in position. Sorry. But we'll figure that out in this part. It was just a vote.
There are 3 openings.
I think we all voted in priority order,
Did you
though.
all vote in priority order? Yes. Or did you? I did, but it wasn't specified. It's fine. You'll still be putting your top one, and then we'll go from there. We have 3, but 1 is a full and 2 are alternates.
Oh,
Say again what we're doing.
Put between Aaron Maleko and John Kratz on the back, please. And for some of you, I know you already had that in order. I apologize. I was not clear on that. I learn every time I do these things. For Andrea Stein, Aaron Maleko. For Emily Tracy, Aaron Maleko. For Kathy Worthington, Aaron Maleko. And for Amy Schmisher, Aaron Maleko. So Aaron will have the full position on Board of Adjustment. John will have an alternate, and Fred Toney will have an alternate.
okay.
Need to have a formal motion
Mayor
for both
Troutman,
positions.
I would like to make a motion.
Ms. Misher, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I would move that we appoint Ashley Smith to the Planning Commission and that we appoint Aaron Maleko to the full seat on the Board of Adjustment with Fred Toney and John Kratz as the alternates.
Second.
Made and seconded. Would you call the roll?
Councilmember Schmisher,
Aye.
Stein,
Aye.
Tracy,
Aye.
Worthington.
Aye.
Thank you.
I don't get to break the tie then. There's no tie? Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been just a really exciting evening. I thank you so much for coming, and please stay in touch with us and come back and see if you can help or we can help. So, and we are now adjourned.